all good things must come to an end. That's the lesson the king of good times, Vijay Mallya, and his company Kingfisher Airlines are learning the hard way. A mountain load of debt and insufficient revenues have brought the carrier down on its knees. But why is Kingfisher in a worse shape than other private carriers? Nikhil Shivadas finds out.
It's a crash landing for Kingfisher Airlines, which was quite literally flying the good times only a few years ago. Banks are wary of lending, investors have burned their fingers, fellow carriers won't extend any credit, and the government will not be sympathetic in bailing out the company. And the parties affected the most are innocent passengers and the company's staff.
I have been assured by the management that the December salaries will be cleared by the end of February, and by March 20th they will be able to clear the salary arrears of January. We have ordered a special surveillance, a safety surveillance on the aircraft which are operating of Kingfisher. My officers will be from the Directorate of Air Safety will be conducting this.
This is not the first time that Kingfisher Airlines has been pulled up for cancelling flights. In September of 2011, Kingfisher was second in the league tables in terms of domestic market share. However, high fuel costs, fierce competition and a deepening debt burden forced the cash-strapped carrier to ground aircraft and cut routes. This resulted in significant capacity reduction, with passenger numbers going down to a 3-year low of 760,000. As a result, Kingfisher fell to 5th place in the league tables in less than 2 months.
Kingfisher has lost its business class travel. You may have a few loyal customers who are friends of the Mallya, but I don't think a genuine business class passenger or the IT industry and foreigners are going to travel Kingfisher again, because their credibility is completely gone. And as far as the economy passengers, those who book months ahead and who are left high and dry, they're going to burn their fingers.
The real problem is that Kingfisher is saddled with accumulated losses of 6,000 crore rupees and a massive debt of over 7,000 crore rupees. This includes about 900 crore rupees of fuel charges, 600 crore rupees as interest due, 250 crore rupees to the Airports Authority of India, and another 45 crore rupees to the Income Tax Department.
Airlines as it is run is not the way airlines are run. Airlines, of course, is high cash flow and low profit business. But having said that, you cannot keep on playing with that cash for a while, and you cannot try to create a situation where the airline is in a mess.
The IT department has frozen several of Kingfisher's accounts for non-payment of dues twice in the past 3 months. During this period, several banks downgraded loans given to the company and classified them as substandard assets. Currently, 18 banks, including the State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda and Bank of India, have exposure to Kingfisher Airlines.
I have said that it is right now an NPA until such time the default is cured. The banks are finding it difficult to lend more.
To access bank capital, Kingfisher needs to bring in more equity, but it's been unable to do so, which means its troubles may be far from over. The root of Kingfisher's problem is not just a cash crunch, but poor management. According to a September 2011 report by Canadian investment research agency Veritas, the company's auditors have on multiple occasions qualified the company's financials, referencing accounting policy changes and expressing disagreement with the management's interpretation of accounting standards. It states that Kingfisher failed to disclose a change in its accounting policies to investors, and the change cosmetically improved the non-GAAP operating measures and overstated the company's cash flows. Veritas has stated that it was not just Kingfisher, but its parent company UB Holdings that was effectively insolvent too.
If I am a shareholder of UB Holding or UB Group of companies, would I allow unlimited funds to be withdrawn from that parent company and transferred to Kingfisher company? Particularly when you know that Kingfisher's business model or the climate that exists in India would not allow Kingfisher to generate surplus or refund or repay that money in the near future. It's as good as sunk.
To be fair, the warning signs were coming in. In the balance sheet for financial year 2011, the auditors clearly stated that the company's net worth had totally eroded. Some say that the real problem was that the airline moved back and forth on its business model, from economy to premium to a mix. Switching tracks does not help, because it leaves the airline with no time to stabilize and standardize operations.
The success of any business lies in appropriate planning and carefully considered strategies and execution of those strategies. So I don't think the trial and error sort of approach works in any business, leave alone a very cash-hungry business like the aviation business in India.
The biggest mistake has no doubt been its ambitious acquisition of India's first low-cost carrier, Air Deccan. In one stroke, Kingfisher had immediate listing on the exchanges, gained access to Air Deccan's 18% share of market, and took control of its 43-strong fleet. The merger also gave Kingfisher the ability to fly lucrative international routes. The newly acquired unit was spun off into a different entity called Kingfisher Red and gave Kingfisher Airlines access to economy as well as business classes, with Kingfisher flying on trunk routes including metros, while Kingfisher Red serviced Tier 2 cities. While the math seemed perfect on paper, it was a disaster in the making.
When he changed the brand of Deccan, I think that the first mistake he made, he should have kept the, like Tata's have bought Jaguar, they bought Land Rover. It was a loss-making company, they bought it, but they didn't change the brand because the brand was powerful. So he should not have, because the Air Deccan brand was a darling of the masses. It was a low-cost brand. He should have kept it as it was.
Kingfisher effectively ended up spending about 550 crore rupees on an airline whose losses were in excess of that amount. To make matters worse, the airline started expanding aggressively, launching both short-haul and long-haul flights to take advantage of the international routes the merger had brought about. However, this was in 2008, just before the global financial crisis hit. In its aftermath, the aviation sector went into a tailspin and fuel prices rose to $150 a barrel, all of which added to Kingfisher's debt burden. Then there was the manner in which Kingfisher was run. At a time when other carriers were focusing on the no-frills segment, Kingfisher Red tried to attract passengers by giving freebies and focusing on luxury. That raised the cost of running an airline which was supposed to be no-frills, making it uncompetitive. The rest, of course, is history. As things stand today, Kingfisher looks like it's diving into a deep black hole.
It seems to me that because Mr. Mallya had all this political clout and was able to arrange various things, he got money too easily and was allowed to expand too much. Here is an airline that never made money even in the best years. I mean, people should have been cautious about lending to such an airline. But I'm afraid in India that is not what happens if you are somebody as influential as Mr. Mallya.
So should the government save Kingfisher Airlines at all? Experts are divided on that.
Some call it putting good money after bad, and with good reason, especially considering that additional funds are going in with little or no change in ownership and management. But others say that if the government doesn't step in and bail out Kingfisher soon, then the banking system will find itself in a mess.
Whichever way this goes, one thing's for sure, Kingfisher is not going down alone, and the government realizes that.
DGC is checking whether they have adequate number of pilots, whether they are keeping safety has to be ensured. Rest is up to see. An airline can continue operating as long as they have at least 5 planes.
The task at hand then is to provide the carrier with what it really needs: a sustainable business plan, a strong management, and a focused approach.